This is Big Business with Sarah. This podcast guides you to finding what you desire most in life and business, because running a business is very much about your personal development. In this podcast, I'm sharing what my clients ask me and how I help them. Thanks for joining. How can you create downtime in your business, and also how can you recognize when you need to take a break? That's what today's episode is about. I love talking about this. I love talking about productivity, but I also really love about talking about how can you prevent yourself from spending too much time in your business. I take pride that last year I started my own little experiment to work 6 hours a day, and it has worked out really, really well. This year, I wanted to try to work 4 days a week and then 6 hours a day, but that is a little bit more difficult. Interesting how that works. I will let you know how it's going. Up until now, it's 6 hours, 5 days, or a little bit. Actually, the Friday is really about 2 hours. So actually, it is less. I'm working less and less. But, just having those 4 hours, 4 days is difficult for me. So I will probably create another episode about that. But the reason why I wanted to do that is because you always give yourself, the time that you're giving yourself to spend on it, that's the exact amount of time that you're going to spend on it. So for instance, if you have a deadline, you know what? I have only 3 hours. Let's just say that. I have 3 hours, then it has to be finished, and then it's finished. But imagine if something is 3 weeks away, then you have a lot of hours actually to spend on this. And yesterday I hosted my event, the Royal Retreat, and it was amazing. And I'm a little bit tired, but in a good way. So it was a great event. It was my first event as Sarah Big Business, but it was my 1,000th first event in my life. I started organizing events since I was 12, and then I was also a professional event organizer at some point. And I loved it, and I still love it, but I love it even more now that I'm hosting my own. And the breakthroughs that I've seen are incredible. But one of the things that I've noticed as well, not so much yesterday, but also the weeks before that, because actually all the people that joined me were a client or are a client, because that was kind of what I wanted. I didn't want to kind of start from scratch. I wanted the people to understand my method and build from there. That's, we wanted to take royally big steps. And so that's a little bit the format, and it worked out really great. But it was also the Easter weekend that we spoke about, really taking downtime, and that it's also so important. So it was also, I created this podcast. Of course, I always create the podcast episodes about the client questions I'm getting, and then I want to share it with you. So that's always the format. That's the first part of the podcast. Then is the question from the audience, and then my question for you. And so this is a question coming from the mastermind, but also I wanted to share this with you. And another thing is that the Royal Retreat was, I kind of knew what I was going to do, obviously, but I never really wrote it down. And I did on Monday. I had a day off, but I decided to work 3 hours on the Royal Retreat. I ended up working on it for 2.5 hours, and that was it. I didn't want to spend any more time because it was actually a free day, and I actually was supposed to work on Friday, but then I didn't feel too well because I was a little bit sick, and then I had to do it on Monday. It's fine. It always happens when you're a business owner. There's always some things that are not going the way you want, and then you have to show up for it yourself. Nobody's going to rescue you. Big lesson, not just in business, but in life. So you have to fix it. And then I thought, how am I going to do that? I'm going to use the Parkinson's law. And the Parkinson's law writes that the time that you decide that you're going to spend on it that's the time that you're going to spend on it. And I think this is fascinating. This is also really one of the reasons that it happens so often that people are saying to me, yeah, but first I want to finish this before I'm going to work on this. You're never going to do that. I'm sorry to say this from personal experience, but also from other people who are working with me, from my clients' experience, is that doesn't work, unfortunately. Or I'm going to take 1 month off and then I'm going to change my entire business. No, it doesn't work. I remember when I was studying, I don't know if you recognize this, but when I was studying in Amsterdam, I was having, a very nice, actually a room in a house, in an apartment with 2 other women. And I was having that room, and sometimes, I would have to write my thesis, and that's a big task. And I didn't know all the techniques that I'm going to share with you right now. So it was horrible. I hated writing that. I'm not a very theoretical person. I'm more hands-on, and terrible time. And I was writing that thesis, and then sometimes just doing grocery shopping was already such a big ask for me. And that was just one task, and then I would kind of or take a shower. And then I would wait for it. And then, yes, I took a shower. And then actually I was too hungry. And I went grocery shopping hungry. And well, you know how it goes, probably, if you have studied or written your thesis or had to do something very agonist, in your life, then you recognize that the funny thing is that once you're busy already, you can do more things. I think that's fascinating. And I think it's also a little bit annoying, but it's just how it works. I don't know how it works. Probably it has something to do with the brain and that you're already activated and that you're already, yes, let's do this. But just having one day and then just do one thing, that normally doesn't really work. All right, let's get to business. So as an entrepreneur, it's very easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of running your own business. But it is very essential to recognize when you need to take a step back and create that downtime to avoid the big old burnout. You don't want that. That's horrible for your business. It doesn't matter how much, if you're insured or whatever, it's just also very horrible if you've had it. I really would avoid it at all times, at all costs. I have had a burnout, and then I actually afterwards decided to start to work, have a business for full-time, because I always had a part-time businesses on the side. But then I knew, okay, you know what, now I have to really do it. So I'm going to share with you 4 signs, and this might be a little bit confronting, that you need to take some downtime in your business. And this is also inspired by what I'm seeing with my clients. And when I'm seeing that, I'm also going to tell them, all right, maybe you should take it a little bit more easy. So the first one is when you're working long hours. If you're working long hours every day, it is really a sign that you need to create more downtime. Working long hours can create burnouts, decreased productivity. This is something that many people forget, but you can't be more productive, especially if you're working in an office environment for 6 hours a day. Or actually, maybe it's even 4.5 hours. I don't really remember, but there is different studies right now, right, with the 4-day work week, and many people are trying that right now. So decreased productivity and also poor mental health. So you might be more agonized and angry or grumpy or not very nice to your partner or whatever. So working long hours, not a very good idea. A second sign is you're always stressed. You're always stressed and anxious about your business. You're afraid maybe that you're not going to hit your income goal, that you're not doing your job well. And, chronic stress can have a severe impact, not just on your physical health, but also your mental health. And eventually also your business, because you are your business. We are going to work, I'm going to give you some tips later on in this episode on how you can avoid being your business. But yeah, it is very difficult actually to do that. And maybe you're not there yet. Third sign, sorry, is that you're not enjoying your work. And this is something, sometimes it just happens, you have your business and actually, if you're being very honest, you're not really liking what you do. So step back and figure out what is causing the problem. What is something that you don't like? You don't like your clients. Maybe you don't like the work you're doing. Maybe you're afraid that AI is going to take over and you're in a complete freeze. Well, it could be that you're overworked or that you need to delegate some tasks. We're going to talk about that later. But yeah, really focus on what you enjoy doing. And maybe, anyway, do it. Write this down. What do you enjoy doing in your business? And what do you not enjoy doing in your business? So, and the fourth sign is you're not meeting your deadlines. So if you're always, missing your deadlines, if you're always too late to sell something, is it very difficult to keep up with your workload? You have to kind of make up excuses for your clients, which aren't really the real excuses, but you're just thinking, if I'm really being honest, I was just really tired. You're not going to share that. So recharge your batteries and come back with that renewed energy and focus. So if you are recognizing these signs and you don't really, really try to be honest to yourself. I've also had this for the past 2-3 weeks that I was, actually a little bit, too much working in the weekends, so Saturday, Sunday, and so I'm also still working on this. It is kind of an eternal struggle, but it's okay once you know that you can do something about it. And that's what we're going to talk about right now. So to help create that downtown in your business, here are some tips. I was thinking of singing downtown, but I'm not going to do it. So 5 tips. The first is, and you can already guess, is that you don't have to do everything yourself. And if you've created that list of things you like to do and you don't like to do, what are the things of the things on the list that you don't like to do, and can you actually outsource it? And this is difficult because if you're maybe not making a lot of money, if you're stressed out about that, then how can you outsource that? Yes, this is a difficult one. And this is the thing that I'm seeing most people struggle with. But, sometimes in times of distress, you really need to find, help sounds really big, but you really, actually, that might be, if it's actually not working, I'm really going to give this advice. You should actually, see if someone can help you, because maybe it's really necessary. And then afterwards, you can make up for it because you have more brain space and you can, get more clients. It's a little bit a difficult thing, I believe. And also, when I'm giving this advice, I'm like, the other 4 tips might be helping you more, or actually 3 tips, because the next tip I'm sharing with you is that you can hire a virtual assistant. They can manage your schedule, answer emails, handle administrative tasks. Do think when you're working with a virtual assistant, do be very clear on what the person is doing, when that person is doing it. So for instance, if you work with a virtual assistant who only works 2 days a week, aside from other things that she's doing, well, then it's going to be very difficult to ask, if she can do little tasks for you. But maybe you want someone to be more available for you. You have to pay a little bit more. But be very clear on, everything that you agree on and what you both want from that collaboration. And this could really give you more time to focus on your business. And if you're figuring out that, maybe you're having a virtual assistant and it's actually not working out for you, maybe just stop working together. The third tip I want to give you is to automate your processes. And this doesn't have to cost you anything. You can schedule your social media content. You can schedule your emails. There's so many things in your business that you can automate probably. Maybe, if a new client onboarding, writing up an offer. For instance, I've spoken about this a lot. Is my Calendly? I'm using Calendly for my clients to make appointments. Wow, the time! It costs me a little bit. I think it's about €200 a year for that app, but it's really a blessing in disguise, because if you're looking at how much time you would spend, what is your hourly rate, then it's probably costing you much less. Fourth tip is to create standard operating procedures, SOPs. This will help you streamline your business processes. So I already talked a little bit about this. So if you're onboarding a client, so I, for instance, have a standard operating procedure when I'm onboarding a client. So this happened, that happens for certain programs, not for every program. Smaller programs, I'm not really having that, but for bigger programs, they get this, they get that, they get, everything. And then also in my coaching programs, it's more and more I'm creating processes so for instance, in my mastermind, I used to not do that, but create a weekly newsletter on what is going to happen this week or next week. And, that's for me a very nice procedure, because then my clients know what to expect of me. I don't have to say it in Voxer, for instance, and then, they know. So creating standard operating procedures also for your launches, for, maybe you're having packages of 8 weeks that you're working with a client. What happens at the onboarding, offboarding? What are you helping them with? Standardizing all these things can really help you, and using certain software for that to make it easier for you. And with AI, I've spoken about this almost every week. There are so many things that you can automate. Actually, I'm actually doing everything with AI right now. Not everything. Most of the things in business I am doing with AI, especially in the procedural. And the thing is that I'm not doing everything. I'm not copy pasting everything. I am really making it mine, but it's helping me so much getting new ideas and being a little bit more nuanced and everything. So yeah. And then the fifth tip that I want to give you is to set boundaries. So setting boundaries with clients. I know that many people are saying, yes, but my clients want this right now. Or maybe they say, the deadline has moved up. Okay, then you can say, yes, I can do that, but with an additional fee of 20%. You can do this. You don't owe anyone anything. They don't owe you anything, what I said before, but you don't owe them anything as well. Of course, everything that you've written, that's written in your contract, but actually extra work, you can charge. You can do that. It's fine. You're not bad or anything. What I don't like, by the way, is, like website agencies who are kind of charging €100 an hour, changing one word on a website. That's not what I mean. I think that's horrific. But I do think, most people that I work with are very loyal and, looking at it from a commercial perspective and always being available. Yeah, it should also answer in the price. So set specific working hours. Avoid checking your emails or your phone outside of those hours. So not working in the weekends, not working at night. And of course, you can think about your business. That's what I do, for instance, all the time, actually. But then have a notepad ready and write down everything. So I think this covers it all, so that you know when to take a break, and you know when to take a break. I gave you advice on how to recognize that you need to take a break. And, I'm not saying that you're having a burnout if you're working long hours. No, many people can actually do that. I've spoken about this. I don't remember where it was, But I did speak, or I listened to something, to a talk or a video people saying that, yes, I know people that are working really, really hard and will never get a burnout because they love what they're doing, right? Because it is, filled with purpose. And yeah, I also really do believe that. Oh yeah, I remember, it was a column in a newspaper, and then, the columnist wrote it down on LinkedIn, and yeah, I think that's the most important thing to finding your purpose and really doing work that makes sense. The example that I'm always having of the receptionist of my dentist, who was doing really only the work that a computer could do, and the normal human emotional tasks that was impossible, because she had to do all that silly computer work that could have been easily done by a computer. But yeah, okay, that's that's a story for another time. Or I did share this story a lot, actually. All right. Hopefully this helps. Really do take it easy on yourself. Take your time off. And now we're going to the next section of this podcast. And now it's time for one of your questions.
Hi, I'm Tara from Amsterdam. I would like to know, what habits have you found help you be more productive, especially when it comes to menial tasks or tasks that don't give you instant gratification or any form of dopamine. For me, for example, that is doing paperwork, the necessary things for my business, sitting down, writing emails, and working on the growth of my business on paper.
I think that's a great question, Tara. Thank you very much. And I was thinking about this, how I can help you with this from a distance. So there's 5 tips I want to share with you. So I want to ask you to kind of look at your tasks and to break them into smaller chunks. So that way it's going to be more manageable. So if you're, for instance, I'm still doing that, by the way, but if you're thinking, oh, I really have to do all my paperwork for my first quarter for my, my bookkeeper, and then, ooh, it's so big. And then I'm kind of blocking 3 hours for that. Whilst actually, if I could block, let's say 25 minutes for just finding all the paperwork, putting everything in order, that's the first step. And maybe also, putting numbers on top of every all the bills that I have, or that's what I used to do. But already kind of organized, that's the first task. And then the second task is to actually put it into the bookkeeping program. Then maybe look at my credit card bill, seeing if there's some, bills, paper bills that I'm missing, or, that I want to add that. Those are actually 3 different tasks already, or 2, and then there's 3 more. And kind of breaking it up, and also write that down in your agenda. Then the second tip I want to give you is to use the Pomodoro technique. It's a time management method where you work on a task for a set amount of time, and typically 25 minutes. I think that's going to be as long as this podcast takes. And then take a short break, typically 5 minutes. And this is really going to help you stay focused and motivated. The third tip is quite an obvious one, but it's to eliminate all distractions. Turn off your phone, close unnecessary tabs on your computer, and eliminate other distractions so you can focus on the task at hand. Then the fourth one is to use positive self-talk. When you are doing the tasks you don't enjoy, it can be very easy to become negative and critical of yourself. For instance, if you're doing admin and you didn't have a really good quarter, then it can be really annoying and a very quick downwards spiral. Believe me, I know. Use positive self-talk to encourage yourself and boost your motivation. Saying to yourself, yes, you're doing great. I know this sounds a little bit silly, but it really works. Or maybe do a little short meditation before you're doing this and saying, okay, your future Tara will thank you for this. And then the fifth one, and I think that's the most important one, is to make your tasks more enjoyable. Find ways to make it more fun. Listen to music or a podcast while you work, if your work allows you to do that. Light up a candle, your favorite candle. Have your vision board right before you, knowing that you need to do this, this little menial task to get where you want to be, and also reward yourself after you have completed the tasks. Remember to be patient with yourself and do take those breaks. And yeah, I think this is going to help you, and I'm very curious to your findings. Now, I have a question for you. And this time, it's no question. I want you to just take a bit of downtime right now and see if you can enjoy it and really practice this. And yeah, so actually there is a question. I want you to maybe the upcoming 5 or 10 minutes really think about things that you love to do. So one of the things that I've done with my clients is to make a list of 100 things they like to do. And then once in a while, look at that list and see if there's something that you really love. So take it easy. See you next week. Thank you for listening to Big Business with Sarah. If you've enjoyed today's episode, leave a 5-star review and hit subscribe. If you're ready for your next step in business, you can find out how to work with me in the show notes. Do not forget to submit your coaching question for one of my next episodes. Have a happy day.